What if you have dysphagia and you love popsicles? Hey folks, I'm SimplyThickJohn, and I'm going to show you how to take this summertime fun and turn it into a dysphagia-friendly treat in its own little bag here. So I'm going to get to work sorting these out. Okay, each of these says that they're 1.5 ounces. I definitely did not think they were going to be that messy. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put 3 of them into a cup. We should have enough to thicken them. So you only need to do this if you're really going for that authentic popsicle. Obviously you can make your own liquid, and then you don't have to go through all the steps that I've just gone through, whether it's Kool-Aid or fruit juice or something like that. But the key is that we are going to thicken these and then freeze them so that the person who has dysphagia is able to enjoy these and they'll melt into the right consistency for their swallowing problem. Alright, so now I have my popsicle liquids ready to go. I have my choice here because each of these is a little bit more than 4 ounces. So I can do my normal dosing. I'm going to have a problem with slightly thick because usually you do that with 6 ounces. And the beauty is that we have the testing methods of the International Dysphagia Diet Standardization Initiative. So I can do a little guessing. A little extra guess. And then just for fun, because, you know, I'm all about IDDSI, like this one, it's green. That goes with extremely thick. And so we're going to make that one extremely thick. So 1 dose per pump. I'm just going to put in a little tiny more. Take our spoon and we'll mix that. It should turn into an extremely thick liquid pretty quick. I don't think these have much more than a little flavor in them. Sure enough. Now this is the one I'm going to worry the most about, how we're going to get it into the popsicle bags. But I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a piping bag. That's how I'm going to cheat. Red is mildly thick, so I have about 4 ounces here. I'm going to add 1 dose, maybe just a touch more because, again, we had that a little bit more than 4 ounces. We had 4.5 ounces. So the pump allows you to do some adjusting to a situation like this where I had 3 1.5 ounce packages, so I know I have about 4.5 ounces here, and then of course I can test this and make sure that I know how thick it is. Next, because yellow is moderately thick on the IDDSI scale, I have 2 yellows here, so I'm going to add 2 doses and then just a little touch. Same thing here, 1, 2, a little touch, and then 1 spoon, 2 spoons. So we can try thickening 2 at once. How's that? My left hand is not nearly as good as my right hand. That is for sure. All right. So 2, 3, 4. We're going to definitely do this to slightly thick. So this time I have to go less than 1 pump stroke. So I'm going to go about here. We can test that and try it. I think for blue I'm going to go mildly thick as well. Mildly thick is the most common thickness that's out there. So you can see very quickly, it doesn't take very long to thicken a bunch of things to a lot of different thicknesses. But it doesn't matter what I think. Let's do some testing, folks. So we have our extremely thick liquid here. You can see that it sits on top of the spoon. When I tip it, it falls right off. And then when I take my fork and I dig it through there, it's going to mound up on top. It doesn't drip continuously, and it's bridging those tines. So that is indeed level 4. I believe this is a mildly thick. So let's pour that in here. And we'll do the test. That is about 6 milliliters, so that is mildly thick, confirming that I got it right. And then the blue, I believe, was mildly thick as well. I often hear from people that there's a lot of time involved in this. And although there is time, you can see this is relatively quick. I have cut open all these things. I've thickened them all. And I'm just testing and confirming. I'm going to run 6 tests pretty quick. And this one is 5 milliliters. So indeed, I did get the blue right. We have 2 of these. They're supposed to be moderately thick. And why am I doing this? I know people want to ask, why are you thickening things? And this is for people with dysphagia, which is known as swallowing problems. And these are people who need to have their liquids thickened so that they can control and manage them safely when they go to swallow them. So I can see here that this one is dripping, so I know it's level 3, not level 4, because it's flowing. But it is not going to get below that 8 milliliter line in 10 seconds. So that is moderately thick. And the point of thickening is to allow people better oral motor control as they handle their liquids. And then they can get it into their stomach rather than ending up in their lungs. They're also able to control it and to get it swallowed safely. A lot of times there can be problems organizing a swallow, so that's part of what we're doing here, is helping people with that, helping them get their swallow organized so that they can actually propel it safely. This one's above the 8. It's about 8.2, so it is moderately thick. I usually see a little more dripping, or a little less dripping, I should say, but that's going to be fine. And finally, let's see if I got the slightly thick one right. This is the one I'm most worried about because I really guessed. I might not have put enough in here, and slightly thick always looks so thin. That's okay. With this thickener, you can adjust the thickness by adding more of the thickener and get it a little thicker. So this one is a little bit above the 1, so it is slightly thick. Just personal preference here, folks. I'm going to add just a touch more thickener because I'd like that to be just a little thicker. So I added like 4 more drops just to thicken it a little bit more, but I don't want it all the way up to mildly thick. And the reason I had to do that is because this is 4.5 ounces, not 6. At 6 ounces, I just add 1 dose. I guess I could have used one of my packets, which is 4 grams and is designed for a liquid, but I didn't think of that. So, all right, I think we have the right thicknesses on all of these. Now we'll be ready to start putting them into our testing bag, or into our freezer bags. See, that's a little better. It's closer to 3, and I think that's just a little bit more what we wanted. All right, so I have each of these thickened. Now I have my ice pop bags, And what I'm going to do is I'm going to get a measure. I'm going to grab my measuring cup here. And also you would do has a fill line in here. These do come with a funnel as well. I don't personally like to use those. Looks like this bag is going to hold 3 of the original popsicles. So that looks like I planned it, but I really didn't. So that is my slightly thick. At this point, I would grab my Sharpie and I would just write level 1, slightly thick. Why do I write 2 ways? Because that's what IDDSI asks us to do. That's best practices. And then I would, of course, date this 6/26. Now this is ready to be put in the freezer, and it will freeze into a nice popsicle. A big one, too, considering it has the amount of 3 popsicles in there, right? So these are moderately thick because they're yellow. Getting a little heavy to hold by the top. A little too much here. Why do we thicken liquids? We thicken liquids for people with swallowing problems, also known as dysphagia. It is a secondary condition that comes along with many primary diagnoses like Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, dementia, different things that progressive neurological disorders, or Huntington's disease, or it can be something as simple as a traumatic brain injury. It can be stiffening of the muscles from head and neck cancer treatment, radiation. And what happens with all of these is that you just have a problem coordinating your swallow, and you can end up with things going into your lungs rather than into your stomach. So we thicken it just so that you can control it and safely swallow it. There's over 40 muscles and 7 nerves that go into the normal healthy human swallow, and anything that disrupts that can end up with liquids going into your lungs. It can be difficult to coordinate, and by slowing it down with thickener, you're able to control it better and to propel it into your stomach rather than into your esophagus. And so it just helps a lot of people. A lot of times, what I'm trying to do is to show you that just because you're on thickened liquids doesn't mean you can't enjoy things. And so popsicles and summertime kind of go together. So I thought, it's coming up to the 4th of July. Let's make some thickened popsicles. And I didn't want to make homemade ones. I wanted to use the real deal, so you get that real flavor that you thought of from your childhood and things like that. So that's why I went to the trouble of cutting open all of these popsicles and doing that. And it's just really about how do we include people in what's going on around them. Obviously, if I was just making one thickness, that would be fine. Or, you could make each of these into a different thickness or into each of the different thicknesses. But this is just a demo of what you can do. And it's 15-20 minutes of my time. I know this will be cut up into a lot of different videos, but the idea here is to show you and to inspire you, hopefully, to do something a little differently and to realize that thickened liquids is really, in some ways, you actually have some more creativity, right? I could do something really fun with these. Really, I could have done something where I put like the red and the blue together, one on top of the other, and carefully held that in place, or kept it like vertical and then frozen it, and then we could have like a red and blue one together. There's lots of things you can do when your creativity gets going with this, and that's what I enjoy about this, is thinking outside the box, thinking how am I going to take something that we've always loved, make it thickened, and make it accessible to that person with the swallowing problem. This one is the one that I'm kind of concerned with, how we're going to get it in that small hole. Maybe we'll use their funnel. See if it flows through there. My fallback is that I'm going to take out my piping bag and I'll just pipe it in there, but I think this is going to work. Doesn't have quite the narrow nozzle that the IDDSI flow tester does. So it worked pretty well, actually. So after a day or so, when you take them out of the freezer, this is what the popsicles look like. And because I labeled them, I don't have to worry about what thickness they are or whatever. You know, as with any of these freeze pop things, you might have to take them out a few minutes before you want to serve them. But it's fast and easy to do, and it makes a really good summer treat. And when it's really hot out, people are going to enjoy these, and they're going to melt right down into the thickened liquid to the level they're supposed to be. Everybody wants to know, how does it taste? It's a mighty fine popsicle. Anyways, folks, please like and follow for more great content like this.